Right now, your body possesses a self-cleaning system so powerful, it actually won the Nobel Prize. Most people have never heard of it and have no idea it even exists inside them. The truly unsettling part is this: your daily eating habits are quietly switching it off every single day. Welcome to Real Health Logic, your source for evidence-based health insights that actually respect your intelligence completely. Today we are going deep into one of the most misunderstood biological mechanisms in all of human science. Not the social media version, not the oversimplified skip breakfast version, but the real peer-reviewed cellular science instead. The process is called autophagy, and understanding it properly will change how you think about food forever. The word comes directly from ancient Greek, where autos means self, and phagein means eating quite literally. Translated completely, autophagy means self-eating, which is your body consuming its own damaged internal parts for renewal. Right now, your cells are actively dismantling broken proteins and recycling damaged internal structures without any help from you. They are stripping out dysfunctional components and converting that cellular debris directly into usable energy your body needs. This is not a metaphor or an exaggeration of any kind. This is literal biology happening inside you. The mechanism was first described back in the 1960s by Belgian biochemist Christian de Duve, working quietly in his laboratory. He was the same scientist who discovered the lysosome, which is your cell's internal acid processing chamber, surprisingly. But the real scientific breakthrough came several decades later from a much quieter laboratory located in Japan specifically. Yoshinori Osumi, a Japanese cell biologist, cracked open the entire genetic machinery behind autophagy throughout the 1990s completely. His work revealed the specific genes that control the entire autophagy process from beginning to end inside cells. That remarkable discovery earned him the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in the year 2016 officially. His findings permanently changed how scientists understand the deep relationship between fasting and cellular health in human biology. What he uncovered was not just a biological curiosity, but a fundamental operating system built into every single cell. Think of your body as an enormous living city with billions of buildings and constant construction happening every second. Most of the time, this city runs entirely on incoming supply coming from the food you eat daily. Food arrives, and energy gets distributed while workers build new structures, and the city keeps growing and expanding continuously. But every great functioning city also absolutely requires a sanitation system running quietly and efficiently beneath the surface, always. Garbage accumulates steadily over time, and old machinery breaks down slowly, while damaged structures pile up in forgotten corners. If the city never stops consuming long enough to clean itself, those damaged structures simply do not disappear alone. They accumulate slowly and interfere with surrounding systems, and over time, they begin corrupting everything functioning nearby them. Now imagine the sanitation crews have one very specific and non-negotiable activation trigger that controls everything about them. They do not clock in when food is flowing abundantly through the system at any point whatsoever during operation. They only activate when the city goes genuinely and completely quiet, with no incoming supply arriving at all. That trigger is the deliberate and sustained absence of food entering your body for a meaningful period of time. Your body does not interpret fasting as deprivation or starvation the way most people instinctively and incorrectly assume it does. It interprets fasting as a precise and ancient biological signal that reads very clearly and specifically to your cells. That signal reads, clean house, conserve energy, repair what is broken, and prepare seriously for survival right now. This is ancient logic buried incredibly deep inside your biology from millions of years of human evolution and survival. Long before grocery stores existed, and long before 3 meals per day became a standard cultural expectation for everyone. Your ancestors regularly went long stretches without food, not by personal choice, but simply by the reality of nature. During those stretches of food absence, the human body did not collapse or weaken the way many people assume. It activated powerfully instead, repairing itself and cleaning itself thoroughly and completely from the very inside out, naturally. Inside your cells are structures called autophagosomes, and think of them as highly efficient biological collection bags with a purpose. When autophagy activates, these bags form carefully around damaged proteins and dysfunctional organelles inside your cells specifically and deliberately. They surround misfolded cellular debris and anything the cell has flagged as broken, redundant, or potentially dangerous nearby. The autophagosome then fuses with a lysosome, which is that cellular acid chamber responsible for breaking everything down completely. The contents get fully broken down and recycled into amino acids and raw energy and usable building material afterward. The cell is consuming its own waste and converting that damage directly into functional fuel, which is remarkably elegant biology. Now here is the critical question that this entire conversation is truly and fundamentally built around for everyone listening. How long must you actually fast before this cellular cleaning process meaningfully and measurably activates inside your body specifically? The honest research-backed answer is far more demanding and nuanced than any popular fasting content will openly tell you. Understanding it properly and completely changes everything about how you should approach fasting for genuine deep cellular health. The primary suppressor of autophagy is a protein complex called mTOR, which stands for Mechanistic Target of Rapamycin specifically. Think of mTOR as your body's growth signal switch that controls whether you are building or cleaning at any moment. When mTOR is fully active, your body is in build mode, synthesizing proteins and growing tissue and processing nutrients continuously. When mTOR is active, autophagy is essentially switched completely and immediately off, with very little middle ground between states. And mTOR gets activated by one thing above almost everything else you encounter in your normal daily life consistently. Food activates it. Specifically, amino acids, particularly leucine and insulin spikes that come directly from carbohydrates you consume. Every single time you eat, especially protein or carbohydrates, mTOR turns on, and autophagy turns off immediately and completely. This is not a gradual fading process at all. It functions exactly like a hard biological switch, with no exceptions. So the precise and important question becomes, how long does it take for mTOR to quiet down enough afterward? After your last meal, your body spends the first several hours in what scientists call a postprandial digestive state. It is digesting and absorbing nutrients and distributing energy throughout every system, while insulin remains elevated throughout this entire phase. Around the 12-hour mark, insulin levels have dropped significantly in most healthy individuals under normal metabolic conditions and circumstances. Liver glycogen begins depleting noticeably, and the body starts transitioning slowly toward a catabolic state where cleaning can begin. But researchers are consistently careful and precise about this particular and commonly misunderstood point in the fasting conversation always. Baseline upregulation of autophagy at 12 hours is simply not the same as significant and functionally meaningful activation yet. Studies published in Cell Metabolism, including work from researchers at the University of California, showed something very important and clear. Meaningful, measurable increases in autophagy markers begin appearing somewhere between 18 and 24 hours of fasting in humans. Not 12 hours and not 16 hours, but 18 to 24 hours is what the actual research consistently suggests here. Let that land properly for a moment, because it is genuinely very different from what most popular fasting content claims. The widely promoted 16 to 8 intermittent fasting protocol is a reasonable and accessible starting place for many people beginning out. But it is critically important to understand honestly what the science actually says about it, without any popular exaggeration involved. For people eating high-protein and high-carbohydrate diets within that 8-hour window, 16 hours likely produces only marginal autophagic activation. Detectable in blood markers, perhaps, but deeply functional and genuinely meaningful at the cellular level. The evidence is thin. Researcher Walter Longo at the USC Longevity Institute is one of the most cited scientists in longevity research globally today. His most compelling published work has focused on prolonged fasting of 48 to 72 hours rather than short windows. He also studied structured cycles of the fasting-mimicking diet as thresholds where autophagy produces genuine and measurable cellular renovation outcomes. Damaged cell clearance and immune system regeneration and deep metabolic reset are what researchers associate with extended, serious fasting protocols. The mild daily 16-hour fast is genuinely better than nothing and produces real metabolic benefits worth acknowledging and appreciating fully. Improved insulin sensitivity and reduced systemic inflammation and better circadian alignment are all real benefits that shorter fasting windows provide. But if the specific goal is deep autophagy that clears misfolded proteins linked to Alzheimer's, the timeline extends considerably further. Now here is a variable that almost nobody in mainstream fasting conversations discusses honestly despite its enormous practical significance for everyone. Your personal autophagy timeline is not fixed or identical to every other person attempting the same fasting duration simultaneously. It depends significantly on something called your individual metabolic flexibility, which varies enormously from one person to another person. Metabolic flexibility refers to your body's capacity to efficiently switch between burning glucose and burning fat as primary fuel. Most people living in modern eating cultures have lost significant metabolic flexibility over time through consistent dietary habits and patterns. If your body is chronically dependent on glucose and struggles to shift into fat burning, your autophagic response will be delayed. Your mTOR suppression simply takes longer to achieve than it would for a metabolically flexible individual in the same situation. Conversely, individuals who fast regularly or follow lower carbohydrate diets tend to enter meaningful autophagic states considerably earlier than others. Some research suggests these metabolically healthy individuals may see meaningful autophagy upregulation as early as 14 to 16 hours specifically. Here is the uncomfortable implication buried directly inside that finding that nobody in the fasting space discusses clearly enough. The people who need autophagy most desperately are precisely the people whose bodies take the longest to actually activate it. Those with the highest metabolic burden and greatest accumulated cellular damage face the longest delay before cellular cleaning genuinely begins. Now here is the variable that genuinely and fundamentally changes the entire autophagy equation beyond simple fasting duration alone completely. In 2019, researchers at the Salk Institute for Biological Studies published findings that created a significant tremor in scientific circles. The missing variable was not fasting duration alone, but the activation of a cellular energy sensor called AMP specifically. AMP stands for AMP-activated protein kinase, and think of it as your cell's internal fuel gauge monitoring energy constantly. When cellular energy drops low enough, AMP activates and simultaneously suppresses mTOR while directly stimulating autophagy through a separate pathway. This dual-action trigger is significantly more powerful than what simple food avoidance alone produces through fasting duration by itself. AMP depletion takes real time to achieve through fasting alone, but physical movement during fasting accelerates it dramatically and efficiently. This explains why researchers studying fasted exercise consistently noticed disproportionately elevated autophagy markers in their subjects across multiple different studies. Movement during fasting drains cellular AMP and drops energy availability, rapidly triggering AMP far faster than sedentary fasting alone achieves. A 16-hour fast, combined with a morning walk, may trigger measurably more autophagy than a 20-hour completely sedentary fast produces. Your body is not responding to the number of hours on a clock that you have been fasting during. It is responding to its actual cellular energy state at any given moment throughout the fasting period you are in. The clock is simply a convenient but fundamentally imperfect proxy for the underlying biological reality your cells actually directly respond to. The goal is not passively accumulating fasting hours on a clock, but creating genuine cellular energy depletion efficiently and consistently. Now here is something the mainstream fasting conversation almost never discusses with the seriousness and depth that it truly deserves. Autophagy does not only occur in muscle tissue or liver cells where most historical fasting research focused its attention primarily. It occurs in neurons, inside your brain. And the implications of that single fact are extraordinarily important for everyone. Research from the Buck Institute for Research on Aging demonstrated that neuronal autophagy plays a critical role in brain protection. It clears specific protein aggregates from brain tissue, including amyloid beta plaques and tau tangles and alpha-synuclein clusters over time. These are the biological signatures of Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease and other devastating age-related neurological conditions affecting millions globally. Your brain's cleaning system operates through two complementary mechanisms working together throughout each complete day and night cycle naturally. The glymphatic system runs its fluid-based drainage primarily during deep sleep, when your brain is in recovery mode overnight. Autophagy performs its cellular repair work most powerfully during extended fasting periods when food input has stopped completely for hours. Both systems require the same fundamental condition to function properly: extended periods of genuinely low energy input into your body. In a culture that eats constantly and sleeps poorly, both of these critical systems are being chronically suppressed without awareness. A 2022 study published in the journal Autophagy found that ketone bodies, specifically beta-hydroxybutyrate, do something remarkable and underappreciated biologically. These ketones produced naturally during extended fasting do not simply serve as alternative fuel when glucose becomes unavailable to cells. They act as direct signaling molecules that further suppress mTOR and amplify autophagic activity beyond what caloric restriction achieves alone. This explains why combining extended fasting with lower carbohydrate eating consistently produces stronger autophagy markers than either approach, implemented independently, produces. Research into circadian biology has also revealed that autophagy follows a natural rhythm peaking during your biological night phase specifically. This means the timing of your eating window relative to actual daylight hours matters considerably more than most people currently appreciate. Evening eating, which is extremely common in most modern households, may suppress autophagy precisely when your body is primed for it. Front-loading calories earlier in the day and closing your eating window before sunset may meaningfully enhance autophagy outcomes for you. We have spent decades as a culture obsessing over food as the absolute primary lever of health and wellness completely. What to eat, and how much to eat, and which macronutrients to prioritize has dominated the entire health conversation for generations. But the science of autophagy quietly and persistently points in the completely opposite direction from that food-obsessed cultural conversation entirely. What you do not eat, and for how long you sustain that absence, may matter as much as any dietary choice. Not because fasting is magical, and not because skipping meals is virtuous, but because repair exists specifically in the absence of feeding. Your body never evolved a repair system designed to operate while it is actively eating and processing incoming food simultaneously. It evolved a repair system calibrated to run during the silence between meals during the long stretches of ancestral human life. Yoshinori Osumi was once asked what personally struck him most from his decades of dedicated autophagy research and Nobel-winning work. He said what struck him most was not how powerful autophagy was, but how easily and quickly it was disrupted. How the smallest, most casual act of eating was enough to shut down the entire cellular cleaning process within minutes. Every meal you eat is a vote cast between two competing biological priorities that your body must choose between immediately. Growth and construction on one side, cleaning and repair on the other. Your biology runs only one mode at a time. In a world specifically designed to make you eat constantly, how much time have you allowed your body to fix itself? If this honest evidence-based content is what you have been searching for, please hit the like button right now today. It genuinely helps Real Health Logic reach more people who are searching for real answers backed by actual peer-reviewed science. Subscribe so you never miss what we cover next, because we always follow where the research leads, no matter what.